Hey guys, welcome back. This is Cody with The Connected Camper. Thanks for watching. Today is another installment of our Generator Runtime series. Today we're going to be testing this Wen 3800 inverter generator. This is rated for 3400 watts, so we're actually going to be testing it with a 1700 watt load with 1/2 gallon of gasoline. The generator is right here.
And for today's test, here are the tools that we'll be using. The very first tool is this little 20 watt LED work light. This is going to be a good indicator of when we lose power. Next is just a kitchen timer that counts up in hours, minutes, and seconds. Next is a temperature gauge. Generators perform differently at different temperatures. A kilowatt meter. Various surge protectors, extension cords, power adapters that we may or may not use, 1/2 gallon of 87 octane, and then Lucas fuel treatment. So for today's test, we have the Wen 3800 here. This has a 212 cc engine with a rated output of 3400 watts. 50% of that rated power is 1700 watts. The gasoline fuel tank size is 2.2 gallons, and the fuel that we're going to be using for our test today is 87 octane gasoline. Now the actual conditions of our test is going to be 50% load with 1/2 gallon of fuel in the tank. We're going to use some algebra and extrapolate that information to get the full fuel tank runtime at 50% load. Now the advertised runtime from Wen is 8.5 hours at 50% load. So this is actually a good marketing piece that we can actually test here today. Now another piece of information that we're going to collect from Solar Assistant is kilowatt hours provided during this test. This is going to be a good baseline that we can compare to other generators of varying sizes on 1/2 gallon of 87 octane in their tanks. The actual price of today's test is $1.65. That's just half the price of 87 octane. And then from that, we're going to be able to determine the cost per kilowatt hour to run this machine. This is going to be another good comparison of each of the generators of varying sizes here. So as you can see here at the start of this test, we actually did have some issues getting this machine started. I actually got this Wen generator from Amazon, and when I got it, it wouldn't run. The carburetor had some junk in it, had to completely rebuild the carburetor, and apparently might have missed something in there. I mean, I've put about 100 hours on this machine since I've rebuilt the carburetor, and have never had the carburetor float get stuck like it did during this test. However, sometimes these machines just have little gremlins like that that come up. Now it also is not 104 degrees there. The sun is very warm on this day. I'm going to put up a screenshot of the weather app where it shows that it's in the mid 70s today. It's very comfortable. It is not 104 degrees. In the sun it might feel like that, but it is only 70 degrees air temperature. Now this Wen is one of the quietest machines that I've ever used. It's a really solid machine. I think it's going to be up there in the in this efficiency test. It's a really good machine. The only problem is that it's much heavier than its counterpart or its competitor, the GenMax 3500. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons why I end up leaving this one at home and why this one's actually getting sold here very shortly. It's just too heavy for me. When I'm trying to get that thing loaded in and out of the truck, 100 pounds is quite a bit. And when the GenMax is only 65, that is a significant factor in its weight comparison here. Now, if you're just leaving this sit in one spot and using it that way, great. Or if you have another person that's going to be able to help you get this in and out of your vehicle, this would be a solid machine. Now you're going to see here, it's going to end up stalling out very quickly. You'll notice it hiccups for just a second and then shuts down. And so yeah, we'll jump right into the data now. So we just watched the runtime test of the Wen. Now let's actually take a look at the data. Now again, our conditions were 50% rated power with 1/2 gallon of fuel. Our actual runtime was 1.3 hours, 1 hour and 20 minutes exactly. Now if we extrapolate that, we would estimate 5 hours and 45 minutes-ish on a full tank of fuel here. Now the marketing materials say 8.5 hours on that 50% load on a full tank of fuel. There is some disparity here. I don't know if Wen's numbers are a little bit off, but I do think 8.5 hours is somewhat lofty. Now, I have run this machine overnight with my RV air conditioner when I had my 15,000 BTU on top of my trailer. And this would run it overnight until about 9 a.m. the next day. But we have to remember that with air conditioners, the compressor is not always running. It may kick off for 20 minutes and it may kick back on. And so it's not a continuous 50% load when that air conditioner is running. And so that's something to take into consideration here. I'm not calling Wen's numbers wrong or anything like that. I'm just saying my conditions, my testing scenarios netted a lesser, by a significant factor, number on that full tank. Now the kilowatt hours provided did actually edge out our other machines that we're comparing against. And we'll look at that here in just a second. But the kilowatt hours provided were 2.3 kilowatt hours, netting our cost per kilowatt hour at 72 cents per kilowatt hour. Now, if we scroll down here, here's the actual data exports from Solar Assistant. We can see 2.3 kilowatt hours were pulled from the grid. In this instance, the grid is the generator. And we can see the actual testing scenario starting at 11:01 and shutting down at 12:21. Now, if we go over here, we can actually compare the Wen to the Kipper, and that is pretty much the exact same, about the same runtime, just a few minutes difference there, but just a little bit more kilowatt hours provided because the Wen provides a little bit more of that rated power there, and so it can run just a little bit longer and provide a little bit more power. As well as if we compare this to the Westinghouse, it provided 2.2 kilowatt hours. Now the other numbers are not a great comparison because it's a different size, different engine, everything else like that. But if we look at the kilowatt hours provided, that is a good baseline that we can compare all of these, and it performed very similarly to the Westinghouse. Now, the Westinghouse and the Kipper performed about the same. The Wen edged them out just very slightly. So we do have a new leader here, and I'm interested to see how these GenMaxes come into this. We may have some other generators that get added over here, so just be on the lookout for those as well as we get more of these videos published.
Thanks everyone for watching. That was the Wen 3800. Now we do have a new leader, as I just mentioned, and so we're going to be comparing that against other generators in the series. We have the GenMaxes that you saw on the sheet there, but there's also going to be some other generators that get added in as I can get my hands on them. Thanks again for watching. This is Cody and Ranger with the Connected Camper. We'll see you next time.